let's say my grandfather did not have abundance and flow of money in his life, I might have an entanglement with him and do it the same way as he did. So I might be limiting and sabotaging my capacity to be abundant in my life because of this entanglement with my grandfather. And I might not even know my grandfather. Maybe he passed away before I was born. So we have these entanglements with the families that are not alive anymore. But by having those entanglements, we will limit ourselves in every single aspect because if they could have been limited in every single aspect of their lives. So it's not only with the relationships that we have in the family that we work with this modality, but in every single aspect that we're stuck in our lives. And what we're looking for is what are the entanglements that we have with the family system. Are we unconsciously following that we are deciding to be stuck in a way, to do it the same way as our ancestors, to honor them, to respect them, to remember them this way?
Welcome back to the Go Slow to Go Fast Lifestyle Podcast, the space where we pause long enough to make room for what really matters. I'm your host, Kendra Chapman, and every week we explore conversations that help us to live with more presence, purpose, and alignment. Today, I'm so excited to share a truly powerful conversation with someone who has dedicated her life to helping people uncover the invisible threads that shape their stories. My guest, Liza Moran, brings over 15 years of hands-on experience in family constellation, coaching, and energy work, guiding individuals towards greater awareness, healing, and joy. Liza is a family constellations facilitator and trainer whose work is grounded in deep understanding and global experience. She holds degrees in business administration and coaching, as well as human resources management. And she's certified in NLP, EFT, Reiki, and Centera system energy healing. Her path has taken her around the world, blending traditional wisdom with innovative methods. Since 2006, Liza has facilitated more than 1,800 family constellations and led over 280 group events. Her unique approach, the movement of the spirit, honors each client's personal healing journey, allowing the field itself to reveal what needs to be seen. Her mission is to expand the awareness of family systemic constellations and to help people connect to a higher level of consciousness so they can truly enjoy a life to the fullest. In our conversation, we talk about what it means to slow down enough to listen to the wisdom beneath the surface, the power of inherited stories, and how creating space for healing can transform not only our lives, but the generations that come after us. This is one of those episodes that invites you to breathe a little deeper, open your heart a little wider, and remember the beauty of living intentionally. So let's get started. Here's my conversation with Liza Moran. So, Liza, thank you for joining me today. I'm so excited. I have so many questions for you. But before we get started, I just want to welcome you to the show, to Go Slow to Go Fast. And I know that our listeners and viewers are going to want to know so much about you, but let us know how you're going slow to go fast as well right now.
So for me, it starts in the morning, the moment that I wake up. And I have my routine, and my routine includes meditation and prayers and intentions for the day. So that I set, like, what do I want for the day? How is this going to look like? I want to center myself. I want to be focused. I want to be connected to who I am and who I want to be for that day. And the meditation is really helpful to really slow down the thoughts that are bombarding the mind, and more than slowing down the thoughts, the practice of not getting attached to them. Because that is what really helps me the rest of the day to be focusing on what I really want to focus. So I start very slow, meditating, taking my time, this waking up process and coming into the day. For me, it has to be really slow. And then I can do everything that I want to because I have the plan, the intentions, the centeredness needed, and the focus for the rest of the day.
I love that. Are you somebody who... Do you do this as soon as you rise in bed? Do you sit in bed? Do you stay in bed? Do you go to a certain space in your home? What does that look like?
So I go to a different space in my home. I go to the living room basically where I sit, and that's where I do the meditations.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those like things like I wonder when people do meditate, is it a certain spot? Is it the same spot all the time? Does it have to feel a certain way, look a certain way, sound, smell? Do you light a candle? It's just, those are the little things that I'm just interested to know what people do in their spaces. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
It's
So
good to
just,
know.
with that, it is good to always have the same space because, then your whole body and the system and almost like the energy of the place is like you come here to meditate. It's like when you go to bed, it's like your whole system is like, oh, I'm going to sleep. This is what I'm going in this atmosphere. So when you always meditate in the same space, it's like your whole system, your energy, your mind is like, oh, I am going to the place where I meditate. So then you create that like momentum, that energy, that that way of connecting to the space, to the meditation, to this is what I'm doing, and then it becomes easier. And then whatever brings that calmness and it's helpful for you to be on that place, to make it pretty and to make it comfy, to make it whatever it is for you that is important to be there.
Yes. And I wonder how many of us out there actually have some sort of like, depending on our culture and our background and our family, how many of us have almost like a mini altar setup where you have maybe friends and family pictures or symbols of your background in spirituality. Or like for me, I like to burn some incense or light a candle just because I really like that warm glow and that smell of sage. That's just kind of what I like. I find that comforting, and it kind of gets my body in a certain mindset where I'm ready to focus. But outside of that and the space, I do go to the same space, generally speaking, every time. Sometimes I'm outside and sometimes I'm in, like, I have an outside space and I have an inside space. But yes, it's always the same if I'm in or out where I'm going to be. But yeah, do you have any kind of like symbols or anything set up in your space where you do
I don't.
meditate?
I don't.
No.
It's just the
Mm-hmm.
living room,
Mm-hmm.
but it is the same space
Yeah.
that I don't have anything. I go directly to it. I do drink some like warm water before, and then I go to the same
Yeah.
place.
That's
Yeah.
just good. I'm just starting to kind of dive deeper into that and kind of see what other people are doing. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Letting us kind of peel back the layers a little bit on what you do. So do you mind just kind of walking us through your background and how you came to get into the work that you're doing now with Family Constellations? I'd love to know
Mhm.
more about that and your journey.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for asking. I started in a very different place of where I
Mm.
am right now. I studied business administration and I went to work in Procter& and Gamble in finance. And then I realized that, numbers and huge Excel sheets was not my thing. I wanted more something with people. So I then decided to do a master's in human resources. And by then I was already married. So I went with my husband. I'm originally from Guatemala. So I went with him to France, and then we went to Spain. And in Spain, I did the master's in human resources, and I started working in a company in human resources. And while I was still working in human resources, I did a master in coaching, in life coaching. And I loved it. And one of my teachers said, no matter how many limiting beliefs, how many action plans, how many neuro-linguistic programming activities you do with your clients, some of them are just going to be stuck. And to then you need to tell them to do a family constellation. So I thought, that kind of seems important. I'm going to go and find out more about that. And then I started learning about family constellations, and I was completely, completely amazed. It was like, for me, like a perfect match. Like, Cupid sent an arrow, and for me it was like, this is it. I was able to understand so many things that I didn't understand before about life, about us, about humans. So many questions that I had, they were answered through this modality. And for me, my whole body, it just makes sense. I was just happy in that atmosphere. So I started learning about it, and I started doing the training just because I wanted to learn more and more and more. And never thought I was going to be facilitator or trainer at all. There I still was like human resources, life coaching. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm just doing family constellations for my own. And then we came to the US. I used to go to my teacher every Tuesday. She would have groups on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. The groups had 30 and 40 people every single week. So when I came to the US, I was like, where's my group? I'm going to look for my weekly group that I'm going to go to and do family constellation. And I couldn't find any. Here, it's not as strong as in Spain. So then I thought, well, this is so important for me to be part of my life. Since I have the training, I might as well start my own group. And then that was more than 10 years ago.
Wow. Okay. And I can't say, I've heard about ancestral trauma. I've heard about people going to therapy to, talk about their family dynamics, but I can't say I've ever heard of anybody who specializes in family constellations. And I'd love to know more about what that definition means to you and then what that looks like when you work with your clients.
Yeah, that's a great question. And what I realized, because I have been thinking about this a lot, because this work is needed. And here in the US, it has been done a lot by people that do like more spiritual, like connected to shamanism work, because this is a work that was done a lot by, the previous traditions and indigenous people of the different regions.
Mm.
So that work has been done by them and it still continues. And yes, we do that work also with different, the healing happens in that way, in a different way, in a different container
Mm-hmm.
with the shamans. And then also with therapy, that work is also happening, the healing, the connecting with our ancestors, with respecting what has happened in the past. And actually, this work started when someone talking to the clients being completely stuck, not knowing what to do, and just out of like, okay, you know what? What about your parents? Tell me about your parents and your grandparents and your great grandparents. And after those questions, the client completely shifted their lives. And then this person said, wow, my goodness, it seems like the ancestors are important. So this work has been done in different ways. However, the family constellation modality itself and the container that it has for doing this work is very specific and different from the others. So this was developed by Bert Hellinger. He was German. And the way that family constellations look like, the traditional way, is in a group session. Then one person would be the client. And in a circle, the participants in the group session will represent different people from the family of the client.
Okay.
So one person would represent their mother, their father, themselves, their maybe grandfathers. And according to what the representatives are connecting to and feeling, it gives us information about the entanglements, about the connections, about what's going on with the client and the reason that they have those issues in their lives.
Okay.
And the facilitator then suggests the client to do some healing phrases and see how that resonates with the participants. And that's how you see that the healing is taking place.
So you're not really bringing families together to do this work. It's one person at a time, but then the others that might be in the room are kind of like by proxy going through this process with this person to help facilitate. Wow, that's
Yes.
interesting.
And this is something that it's really often confused because people think that they need the whole family to heal and that they're healing things from, the relationships in the family. And yes, that is one aspect for sure. However, we don't need the family and it's actually better when they're not there because what we're doing is we are healing the aspects that we have from the past, from our ancestors. So let's say
Right.
that I don't get along with my sister. This has nothing to do with my sister. Yes, I may need therapy in order to work on the way we communicate with each other, and that's something completely different. What we're bringing here in the family constellations modality is see what has happened in the past that is keeping me from having a healthy relationship with my sister. Maybe my grandmother and their sister did not get along, and we're both connecting to the trauma that they had in their relationship with each other. And that's what we're connecting to in the family constellations, what has happened in the past that is affecting our present moment and everything in our present moment. Because it could be, yes, relationship with my sister, with my mom, with my dad, but also with abundance, with health, with success, with joy, with my partner, with everything. Because if, let's say, my grandfather did not have abundance and flow of money in his life, I might have an entanglement with him and do it the same way as he did. So I might be limiting and sabotaging my capacity to be abundant in my life because of this entanglement with my grandfather. And I might not even know my grandfather. Maybe he passed away before I was born. So we have these entanglements with the families that are not alive anymore. But by having those entanglements, we will limit ourselves in every single aspect because if they could have been limited in every single aspect of their lives. So it's not only with the relationships that we have in the family that we work with this modality, but in every single aspect that we're stuck in our lives. And what we're looking for is what are the entanglements that we have with the family system are we unconsciously following that we are deciding to be stuck in a way, to do it the same way as our ancestors, to honor them, to respect them, to remember them this way?
Yeah. So, a few questions came to mind. Want to just clear the air that this is not in any way the family, like the internal family systems approach that you may or may not have heard about, which has become, I mean, I've heard about it kind of being thrown around in podcasts or in TV programs. So I don't know how popular or if it's made a, if it's a new thing or if it's been an old, therapy approach for a while now, but some people might get that confused with what you're talking about. So I want to make sure we clarify that as well, that that's not what you're speaking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it is complicated because the names are so similar. And they're completely different modalities. Of course, there's some layovers in every healing modality, therapy modality. There's some things that are similar. But the internal family systems, what you're doing is more like part work. You work with your part that is a child holding on to the past, to the trauma of when you were an infant, and maybe the rebellious child and the child that wants just to have fun. Like we all have different parts. Then we have our adult part. We have our, criticizing adult, and we have the part of us that wants to protect ourselves. And maybe it's going to bring up fear. It's going to run away from things for this protection. The part of us that wants to be the victim, the part of us that wants to attack, the warrior. So we all have all these different parts in us. So the internal family system is like to looking at our own family internally that we have, all the different parts, and to work with those parts. And yes, those parts will be connected to the experience we had as children, experiences with our caregivers, with our parents. And yes, there's a connection there, of course. However, the work that we're doing is more like an internal part work, more than an ancestral connection to what patterns we have from our ancestors. That would be the family constellations work.
And that makes so much sense to me now that you say that, because internal family systems, I'm just going to summarize, is basically your inner child work that most likely will be from your current your current life and how you were brought up and how you grew up from child to wherever you are now. Whereas the work you do could be generations of baggage and trauma and things that were passed down to you that you need to unearth, peel back, come to terms with, and then release, basically. And that, I mean, I was just thinking like how that might work. Like you say that there is a group of clients that are together and you kind of go through this process with them with one person at the focus. But if someone, let's say, is adopted and they don't know their family history, I'm just wondering, it's my assumption you could probably ask certain questions to get the others in the room to kind of bring together whatever information that person needs to hear. And I would find that fascinating work because you would find out probably so much.
Yeah, and it is fascinating. I'm still fascinated after all these years of doing this work. I'm still like in awe. And when somebody's representing, somebody, it's better that they don't know anything from the client, the one that's doing the constellation. And when somebody's representing, it's just that they're connecting with the field, with the energy of the field. We do this all the time. We're able to do this all the time. I mean, if you think about it, these gut feelings, these intuitions that we get. If you're at a party and you suddenly go to a room, sometimes you get like, ooh, something's going on. They're fighting here. I'm going to go somewhere else. I don't want to be here. And nobody has said a word. That is you connecting to what's going on there. We do this all the time. We get feedback from the field, the energy. And this is actually the tool that we have that we're using when we're doing the group sessions. The person that will be representing, let's say my mother, my father, that's representing me, is connecting with this capacity that we all have to the field, to the information, to what is important to come up in the constellation for the healing according to the topic that I'm working on. So we do get some information, and it is just bits and pieces and most like sensations and feelings. Some people like to do family constellations to find out what has happened in the past because they don't know. For example, somebody that is adopted. And what we get is just like pieces of information. If you haven't seen the series called Another Self in Netflix, it's about
No,
family
not yet.
constellations. It's really, really good. And it gives a clear image of how constellations look like. What I like in the series is that because it's made to entertain, it actually is really entertaining. It's really,
Mm.
really fun. Is that they're doing the constellation and you know the stories of the people, and then suddenly they go to this image of the past.
Ah.
Tell the whole story of what happened with the one that's doing the constellations, grandfather, grandmother, great grandmother, and they tell the whole story. And then you're able to say, I get it. That's what's going on in the constellation. And that person is representing the mother and the father or the situation. And that's why this client in the life has these issues.
Mm.
So in the series, because it's made to entertain, you're able to get the whole story and like make the connections. And in real life, we don't get that whole story. We just get pieces, emotions, sensations. And that's all that we need actually for the healing to take place. It's not a
Mm.
modality that we use to find out about the past and what happened in the past. It's a modality that we use to heal the entanglements of the past that we're connected to. So we'll get some insights and information. But it's not, what we're not doing is trying to find out the stories of the past, but what's limiting us from being able to fully enjoy and live our lives with abundance, with health, with joy, with
Mm.
success, with healthy relationships.
And I love that you say that you don't have to you don't have to take all the pieces that you get from this process and put it together to make it make sense to be able to heal from the process, which is great. That kind of takes the pressure off people who aren't really sure if they want to try something like this. And maybe they've tried many different, therapy approaches and nothing's worked. And so they're just trying to figure out what might work. Why am I still, making the same decision over and over again? Why do I keep attracting the same thing into my life? The same type of person or, you know, like to be completely transparent, I'm somebody that has a tendency to self-sabotage. And I have seen this play out. I've been writing down different things that have happened to me over the years. And I'm like, yep, that's where I did the self-sabotaging in this scenario. And then this is where it came up again. And then this is where it came up again. So I definitely need to acknowledge so I don't repeat this again. So it's like little things like that may be something you could come up with on your own, but then to clear it out, that's where you could come into play and really help somebody clear out that energy so they don't keep repeating the same patterns.
Yeah, exactly. And especially the difficult patterns, the things that are, no matter what we do, they're still there, then there's probably something from the past. And like you said, it's nice to know because our logic brains like to connect the dots, and we don't need to know. And it's good that we don't need to know because, we can have entanglements up to 7 generations back. How much do we know about those
Really?
100 and what, people from the past? I mean, we don't know most of their life situations. And, even if we think about our life, how much do we remember about the traumas that we had as childhood? It's impossible to get to actually know that information that is affecting us. So we don't need to know.
Mm-hmm. And it also makes sense to me because I've always kind of felt like I've had a fairly privileged life. I don't recall anything major happening to me. But, if there's anybody out there like that who kind of feels like, well, I don't think it's mine that I'm holding, but I feel something happen but I don't think I'm the one that it happened to. You may be on the right track. It may have been something that happened generations before you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to add, because this is really helpful, that the work that we do here, because some people can't come to my sessions and they're like, I'm ready to, get cut off of my whole family system and live my life. And I'm like, yeah, great. However, that's not what we're doing here. That's not the way that we heal. The way that we heal is actually turning toward the past and our ancestors and honoring, respecting them, remembering them, knowing that they had their own entanglements and traumas and they did the best that they could. They didn't have the tools, the modalities that we have nowadays, the support, the information. So once we acknowledge that, and we know they did their best and we live the responsibility of whatever they did with them. And we're grateful for everything because we're here today thanks to them. Then once we approach with love, with respect, with honor, then we're able to let go of those entanglements because we're already connecting consciously to them. So then we let go of those entanglements. So in every aspect of your life, when you feel like you were saying, I'm sabotaging myself, or maybe I'm carrying this strong emotion that just doesn't make sense to me. In those moments, I can see, for example, if you're sabotaging yourself, maybe it has to do with moments where you have to do something that can be take you towards success in your career for whatever reason, and you're sabotaging that. So then you can go back and just, connect to your center and say, I wonder who of my ancestors had issues with their careers, were not successful, or were successful and because of it lost people that were important in their lives. Or I wonder what happened without needing to know. We ask the questions without needing to know. And then just, internally we say, I honor and respect them and whatever happened. They're important. And I'm here today thanks to my ancestors. And I want to do things differently so that I'm able to heal and the family system heals as well. So I'm open to let go what's not helpful to me, and I'm open to receive whatever can be helpful to me. So just that acknowledgement, that shift, that knowing that this is probably connected to someone and I'm opening to that connection, honoring, respecting, and releasing what is not mine. I release what is not my responsibility. But first we need to bring the love, the respect, the honor. Because when we do it consciously, then we're able to let go of it subconsciously. However, if we're not doing it first consciously, then our subconscious is going to hold on to it because this still needs the connection for whatever reason. So just that
Yes.
acknowledgement when we're struggling is like, I wonder if any ancestor of mine struggled with this. But to them, I send them my love and I let go the part that is not my responsibility to carry and that is not helpful to me. And just those little shifts and acknowledgement and connecting, we're connecting to the past, to them. How many of us live our lives so independent, thinking about, the issue with me, with the school, with my job, with my partner, with da, 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 da. How many times do we think about our ancestors? And yes, we probably think about our parents, our grandparents, but what about our great-grandparents, our great-great-grandparents? So when we do this small exercise, it's a way of connecting to all of them and like acknowledging, I'm here today thanks to you. So thank you. And then that healing starts happening.
Yeah. And anybody out there listening, if you're anything like me, I think I feel like I'm in this space on this planet for not just one reason, but for multiple reasons. But I think one of them is to end whatever it was, that cycle in my family, at least through my line. Like, I feel like I'm here for a purpose. And part of it is this podcast and getting the message out in many different ways of how we can heal and how we can live the life we want and how we can be well. And I think this is one of them, this idea of your family constellation, embracing the process and healing whatever that is in your lineage, that energy, and clearing it so you can move forward and give your best, self, because we're all here for the reason to share our gifts. And if we're not doing that, we need to ask ourselves, why? Why are we getting blocked? Or why am I self-sabotaging myself? Why do I keep attracting the same person into my life and then having those, relationships that I don't want? Why is that happening? For whatever reason, like,
Yeah.
I'm personally very happy and I have positive relationships, but it's like you hear that over and over again, that story of why do I keep attracting the wrong person? So it's just interesting to me that this might be a way for people moving forward to clear that energy out so they can live the life they want.
Yeah. And it's so important what you're saying because, yes, energetically, it's like we have this necessity. If I'm connected to victims of my past from my ancestors that maybe had horrible relationships with their partners and they were abused, and I might have a connection with them, and I might unconsciously be saying, I'm just like you, I'm going to do it just like you. So it's like I have a sign here that says, I need to be a victim for my system, for my ancestor, because I'm connecting to her and carrying this. So I need to be a victim. So what do I need? I need to fulfill this. I'm going to attract perpetrators, people that need to hurt because of their family system, because of whatever happened in the past in their family system. And they have like a sign here that says, I need to hurt someone. I'm a perpetrator. And I have
Yeah.
a sign
Or I
here that
need
says,
to
I need to
control.
suffer. I need to
Yes.
be a victim. So
Right.
we match perfectly like a puzzle. And this is
Mm.
why you said, why do people go to the same kind of relationship and take some years to let
Mm.
go of a relationship when it's unhealthy and then find
Yes.
somebody new that is exactly the same? Because
Mm-hmm.
unless we go and work on the reason why we have that, need to suffer, to hurt, to experience what we're experiencing, we're going to find it again.
Mm-hmm. So do you believe in any kind of, do you feel like this is like a karma that we've got to like acknowledge, fulfill whatever we need to fulfill and then move on? And it's like a contract of some sort? Or do you just think it's just literally choices of others in our family lines that have just piled up? They piled up the baggage and now we've got to deal with it.
Piled up the garbage and we need to do it. The thing is that, for example, I was saying, our ancestors did the best that they could. And, with the information they had, with the support that they had, with the resources that they had. And right now, there's a big shift, and I see it in schools. I see it on how, for example, people are dealing and learning how to deal with emotions without rejecting them, without bypassing them. But this is completely new. I mean, I still lived in the moment of, don't cry,
Yeah.
suck
Like
it
don't
up,
show
move
your
on.
emotion.
Don't show
Yep.
your
Suck it up.
emotions. Don't be
That's right.
angry.
Yep.
So that was me. But I've seen a shift, which is very, very positive. But then if you go to my parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, I mean, there's a lot of it there. So if you think about me and my parents, grandparents behind me, there's this whole energetic field of their experiences. All the positive and all the negative is there. So all the blocked emotions, all the traumas, all the things that they were not able to be at peace with are there. So the moment of conception in the first years of my life, I'm connecting to all of this. And there's something very important is that we want to belong because belonging means survival. If we don't belong, we're not going to survive. So we connect to what's there in the field. And I say, I'm one of you. I'm going to do it the same way because I want to belong. It's a little bit like, you see me here with a dark curly hair, and everybody in my family has dark curly hair. And suddenly somebody blonde comes with straight hair. It's like, who is this? No, that's she's not like one of us. So unconsciously, because I want to belong in order to survive, I'm going to carry what's there in the field to be one of them, to be like recognized. I'm part of the clan of the women that do terribly in life, that don't have abundance, that don't have a healthy relationship, that don't have health, that have cancer, whatever. I make those, in a way, contracts, vows, connections. And also, I want to give back because this gift of life is so precious that I want to help heal the family system. So I say, grandmother, I'm going to take your grief. Great grandfather, I'm going to take your fear. I'm going to take this trauma for you. So I also carry that. So there's this whole like baggage in the past of our ancestors of unresolved issues, of things that they just carried deeply inside and that they weren't able to be at peace with. That's there in the system. So unconsciously, because I want to belong, I want to give back and help heal the family system. In the first years of my life, I connect to all of this. And this is why I say that these decisions, these entanglements are in our unconscious field. So the way to heal it is to realize that we're adults. We don't need to belong anymore in order to survive. And it is not our responsibility to heal this for them. It belongs to them.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the process that we're doing in the Family Constellations modality. We're connecting with them, honoring, respecting, letting them know that we know they did the best that they could, and deciding that their things stay with them. But because we're adults already, then we're able to do these things and make the decisions. And children can't. However, the parents can do the work for them and help them release what they're carrying. But because they're still they're not independent. They need the system. They need the family. So they're not going to release those things unless they have the permission of the parents. And this is where the parents come when they need to do a constellation for their children, when their children are struggling.
Okay.
So
So
yes,
you
the
can
baggage
do
is
this
there.
earlier in life. Yeah,
You
you can do
can,
this
but if
process.
your child is your parents that need to do the work for you.
Wow. Yeah, and it seems like there would be so many different avenues that you could take. And how many when you work with clients, is it like a one or I guess like a multi-session situation where you're able to clear out all of that negative energy or trauma or whatever's been brought down, whatever you've connected with and carried with you? Can you clear that in a couple of sessions, or is this something that you have to continually do multiple times throughout your life?
So we usually do, there's no answer to that because, each person is so different. Each family system is so different. Each
That's
situation
fair.
is so different.
Yeah.
There's some people that have been in a healing journey for many, many years, and then they've healed, all this already from different ways of healing. So when they come to me, there's already a lot of it that has been worked on. There are people that come to me from zero. They have done zero, work on themselves, on personal growth or family system, nothing. So then there's a lot. There's family systems where there's a lot of trauma, but a lot of trauma. There are family systems where so it's going to look so different in every single situation and with every single person. And we usually do one constellation per topic. So, for example, I may want to work on my relationship with my partner. That's one topic. I might want to, work on my work or my abundance or money. That's another topic. I want to work with my relationship with my daughter. That's another topic. I want to work with a health issue, a specific health issue that I have, then that's another
Mhm.
topic. So we
Ah,
usually do one session per topic that we have. And we wouldn't repeat it until several months have passed because this is something that, a healing that we put into motion. Sometimes people are able to look at and see differences from, the moment they do the constellation, but most of my clients start noticing things after a month of doing the session, and sometimes it takes several months. So then we would not repeat the same topic until some time has passed because it may not be needed. So we need to wait a little bit to see if another session is needed for the same topic. But this is not like therapy that you do this every single week for months and months. It's not the way we do it. It's doing one per topic that you have, and we wouldn't repeat it until several months have passed to see if it's actually necessary to do a second one.
okay. And when you mentioned like the way it's set up, the way you create this space for your clients, do you bring a group of clients together that are all working on the same topic for that time frame?
No.
No.
So what I describe is like the traditional way of doing family constellations, and I
Mm,
do that online and I do that also in person. However, there's so many different ways. You can also do it privately. So I also do
okay.
one-on-one sessions where I do all the different representations. Instead of
Mm.
having people there, then
Ah,
I do them and then always communicate to the client what is it what's going on because it's harder to see because you don't see all the people there. So it depends on the way the facilitator is doing the constellation. Do it actually even with horses. Some people do it with crystals. There's many, many ways of doing the family constellations. And then sometimes, I mean, I don't do that, but so there's some facilitators that say, okay, so this Saturday is going to be family constellations about topics related with partner relationships. And, next Saturday is about success. So all the constellations that people want to do have to be with that topic. I don't do it that way. I do it with whatever topic the client wants to bring on the day that they decide to come and reserve the spot to be the client.
wow. Okay. That's good
Yeah,
to
but there are
know. So there's
so many
different
different
ways.
ways. Yeah, many, many different ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So is there anything else that you hear, like frequently asked questions about this process from people, from clients, when they're kind of figuring out what they want to do? That comes up a lot.
I think most of the different aspects we have talked about already
Okay. Okay.
during our conversation.
Mm-hmm.
For example, do they need to know the history of the family? And no, it's not necessary. about the topic, and then we just talked about the topic. Usually something that where we're stuck with. What I recommend to my clients is that they look at their lives and see what aspect they have been working on, that they've tried to do shifts and changes, and it's like they always come back to the same pattern. They always come back and hit the same rock. Those are the issues that are important to look at through the lens of the Family Constellations modality. So that's another topic that comes up on what is the issue that the client should bring to do a session.
Okay. Do you, in your work with clients so far, in your experience, have you seen any kind of pattern maybe with, I guess what I'm trying to say is there a pyramid, let's say, of different types of topics, emotions that you see that maybe carry more weight, more energy, that are harder to clear versus others? Like maybe is self-sabotaging something that's easier to clear than, attracting somebody who is the same, type of person over and over and over again into your life? Like, is there like any kind of hierarchy, I guess, in what you find?
There isn't. Because
No.
again, it depends on
Okay.
the person and where they are in their
Mm-hmm.
path.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on the person and how they're willing to accept the past and accept whatever has been there in their experience, in their lives, in their relationship with their parents. The most important work in this modality is the work with our parents, whether we knew them or not, our biological parents.
Okay.
And what often comes up is this desire of things to have been different in the past. If only my father would have been more present, if only my mother would have been less critical, or if only they wouldn't have abused me, if only, my life would be different. And a lot of the work that we're doing here is uh, looking at our past, at the past of our ancestors, and accepting that that's what happened. We cannot change the past. And it feels logical. It sounds logical, but
Mm.
so many of the struggles that we have in the past is because we're trying, on our present lives, is because we're trying to change the past. And because we're trying to change others. We want them to be, of course, the way we want them to be, because we know what's best, of course. And actually, it's because what's best for for us. However, you know how hard it is to change ourselves. You were talking about the self-sabotage. We often want to eat healthier. We want to do more exercise. We want to be more patient. We want to be more loving. And
Yep,
it is hard. And
it is.
even though we know that, we expect others to change in the way that we want them to be. We expect the past to have been different than what it was.
Yeah.
And
It's all
that
the
sounds of
variables
course,
except,
I don't think that way. Deep down, there's
yeah.
so many of us that we do. And
Mm,
that's what holds us down from being able
mm.
to live our lives in the best way possible to the fullest. So instead of the topic that is hard, the people that have more resistance are the ones that are holding on to the idea that others need to change or that the past should need to be different.
Yes, I can imagine that would be difficult if you're not at that place where you have the self-awareness and you're accepting of that yet. Yeah, I could see that would be difficult work. And
It is. It's really hard. I'm not saying here that it's easy. It's not. It's not.
it's not like you're just going to wave your healing hands over somebody and then everything is cleared and it goes away. You still have to
I
do the work.
How I wish that we could.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no. And I think, I've done a couple of therapy sessions in my lifetime, but I think the biggest is when you are willing to, basically look at the person in the mirror and figure out what you need to work on. And like you said, it could be multiple things. So you just have to go one at a time. You have to go slow to go fast.
Love it.
Yeah, that's interesting to think about. And I can't get over the fact that you don't have to know the whole story to be able to clear the energy that's
Well,
going on.
thankfully,
Yeah,
because we don't. There's so much. I mean, most of it we don't know. So otherwise, human existence would not. Humans would not exist anymore because we wouldn't be able to heal if we needed to know.
right. Okay. So knowing that you have a practice where you work with clients doing this family constellation process, what is the best way to get in touch with you if people want to know more and want to work with you one-on-one or in a group?
Thank you for asking. The best way is to go to my website, which is coachingandconstellations.com. And there you will find all the different links to take you to wherever you want to go. For example, there's a link to book a private appointment or a package of 3. There's a link to my events, and I have in-person events in San Jose, California, and I have online events as well. There's a link to my on-demand course, if that's what somebody wants to do. And there's a link to videos, and where in the tab where the videos are, you can go to my YouTube channel in English and in Spanish, and I have so much information on those channels about the family constellations, even just going, and most of my videos are around 5 minutes long. So just going to the channels and just, this topic, kind of like I'm attracted to that topic. So listen to those videos, and just there you're starting to heal, to connect to the information, to shift your awareness about all of this. So my website has all of the different links that take you to wherever you are in this process and to whatever you want to do.
That's amazing. I love that you offer different ways to connect with you and work on your family constellation baggage, let's say. But,
Yes.
because it's a good visual for me to think about all the people in my life, in my family tree with their bags.
Of course, we're healing what is keeping us stuck. We also connect to the wisdom, to the joy, to the love, to the resilience, to the support. There's so much there. And we also do this work in the family constellations of connecting to that aspect. However, we want to keep that. That's not what we're releasing. That's not what we're trying to heal. We don't put emphasis on that. But I also want to bring that we also receive so much positive all the time from our ancestors, from our family system. And just the awareness of that opens up like the channel of receiving. So I would just want to bring that forward as well, that is also there, present all the time.
Yes, that is so true. And I'm one that believes that my ancestors are my guides, and I have lots of family members, grandmothers, both looking out for me. That is reassuring to, think about, like, they've given us so many gifts as well, for sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, is there anything else that you want to share before I let you go?
I think the only thing that I want to share is that we all have this capacity to heal, to connect to life, to move forward. And a lot of it is making just this decision. Because with these entanglements, we're unconsciously saying with the ancestors, I'm going to suffer just the way that you did to be connected to you. So by this awareness and acceptance, yes, life is what it is. And I'm going to be just this work with our ancestors. I'm also going to be accepted of myself, gentle to myself, loving to myself. I'm also doing the best that I can. I also did the best that I could in the past. And no matter what has been the past, I deserve, love, joy, abundance, health, success, beauty. So this is what I decide. I say yes to life. I say yes to all of this. And I'm going to move forward in this direction. And that decision is a decision that we're able to make every day. And that brings so much healing to us in this present moment. So just awareness that let's decide that.
Yeah, we do have the control to make that decision every day. I love that you say that. That's a good reminder. Yes. All right. Well, Lisa, this has been an amazing conversation. I appreciate your time. I'm thinking I'm going to have more questions for you when we get off this podcast. So I may have to circle back to you and ask about what about this? What about that? But if anybody has questions for Lisa or me, just let us know. You can definitely respond to this podcast when it does come out, or we'll have this up on YouTube. And, she has a YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel. So make sure that you're checking out and following up with us if you have further questions. It is a fascinating topic. And I love that you're doing this work in the world because we definitely need it. So thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for the invitation. And thank you for helping me bring more awareness of this amazing work to others. So thank you so much.
So that's it for today's episode of Go Slow to Go Fast. Thank you so much for joining me and Liza for this beautiful and deeply meaningful conversation. I hope something in today's episode spoke to your heart and reminded you that slowing down and tuning in can open the door to powerful transformation. After this episode, I watched the first season of Another Self on Netflix. And like Liza said, it's definitely entertainment, but I thought it was very well done in a soap opera-like drama format. And you should check it out if you want to know more. If you'd like to dive deeper into topics like this, head over to my website and YouTube channel, where you can find more inspiring content, including my online courses designed to help you live with more clarity, purpose, and calm. Liza also has a YouTube channel, and we'll make sure all that information is in the show notes. And if this episode resonated with you, would you do me a small favor and share it with somebody you know who could use a little calm in their life, a little light and encouragement for this week? Don't forget to rate and subscribe wherever you listen, because it does truly help us grow this community and the podcast. And it allows us to keep bringing you conversations that matter. As always, the light in me honors the light in you. And as you head into the rest of your week, let your light shine through. And remember, go slow to go fast, and thanks for listening.